I'm Craig Fields.
And I'm David Long.
And you're listening to week 59 of Is It Worth It, the film review podcast.
59! 58 was a slow release, wasn't it, Craig?
Yeah, sorry about that. But 59 is here, and we're reviewing a number of movies. David, let's tell the listeners what we're actually going to review on today's show.
Our first review is the long-awaited Black Widow movie from Disney Marvels. Disney Marvels? Disney Marvel.
Disney's got marbles.
I didn't say marbles, I said Marvels.
I know.
They're sweet, aren't they?
I don't know.
We get distracted. Starring Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, Rachel Weisz, David Harbour and Ray Winston.
Next up is F9, or for those who didn't need an abbreviated title, Fast and Furious 9, starring Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Jordana Brewster, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, yes, Natalie Emmanuel, Charlize Theron, and John Cena.
Then it'll be time for 90s nostalgia with Space Jam, a new legacy, starring the one and only LeBron James, Don Cheadle, Cedric Joe, Bugs Bunny, and the rest of the Looney Tunes.
And then we're going to be heading over to Washington Heights for In the Heights, starring Anthony Ramos, Melissa Barrera, Leslie Grace, Corey Hawkins, Olga Merediz, Jimmy Smits, Gregory Diaz, and Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Well done there, Craig. And it'll be Dearest Craig who will be rounding off the show with a brief review of two movies that he thinks you should seek out, and that's Rare Beasts and Supernova.
Oh, yes. And that's the show for this week. Our intro is usually reserved for, that little bit of spiel about what we're doing on today's show. And then we also like to have a little bit of a chat.
We do indeed.
Yeah. And on the last episode, on week 58, we discussed the Euros and where England were at that stage. They were just about to play Germany, weren't they?
Just about to play Germany. And we beat Germany, and then we beat the Ukraine, and then we beat Poland, and then we got to the final, and we went 1-0 up, Craig, inside 2 minutes, and then we lost on penalties.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I think they did a superb job. Every single player did, and I mean, I must admit, the retaliation on social media afterwards was quite, disgusting, really.
Yeah, absolutely abhorrent, really, the racial abuse that those three young black men received. Totally unacceptable, and more needs to be done, actually, to punish these social media trolls. I was heartbroken, Craig, I'm not going to lie. You know, I'm a big football fan. Didn't have tickets, but me and my cousin went to Wembley to soak up the atmosphere. Craig called me a hooligan.
Wasn't that you that broke in?
No, that was not me. Came back from Wembley, watched the game with my cousin, heartbroken. Took me about a week to recover. But honestly.
What happened to you? Were you in bed mourning?
No, I just felt really sad and down. And on reflection now, a few weeks later, we should be really proud of our boys and how they did. And bring on the World Cup in Qatar in 2022. A Christmas World Cup. It's coming home for Christmas.
I mean, yeah.
Not much else you can say, is there?
No, but along the same vein as you in terms of sporting stuff, I went to Wimbledon.
I know you did, yeah.
And it was excellent. I don't know who played. I don't know who I was watching, but it was fantastic. The
Tim
atmosphere.
Henman?
No, but we sat on Henman Hill.
What a hill that is. Or Murray Mound, or Rosetsky Ridge.
They tried to rename it to Murray Mound. Nah, I'm serious. Andy Murray's a great player, and he did really good at Wimbledon. We did watch him on the television.
He's won it. I believe he's won it twice. I might be wrong, but he's definitely a Wimbledon champion.
I meant this year. I mean, like he did really well to get where he did. He's got a bionic leg or something.
Well, I don't think he's a cyborg yet, Craig, but he is. Sorry, Andy. He's troubled with injury. Yeah. He basically says that mentally he feels in a good place, but his body physically can't do what he wants it to do, which makes playing tennis very hard. We should have a game of tennis.
You know what? I would love a game of tennis.
Let's do it before the summer finishes.
Yeah, I mean, come to St Albans. There's actually a tennis court in the park there. I'd love to do that.
Well, we'll get it in the diary. What else have you been up to? Because I know you had a nice time away.
Yeah, so I went down to Devon to a campsite that had just built a treehouse during lockdown.
Oh, wow.
So the owner of this campsite, his project was this treehouse, and they posted it on Facebook, but not very well. It wasn't very well advertised, and we took a punt at it. We didn't really know what it had. Didn't know what it looked like completely.
Okay.
And we got there, and it was amazing.
Wow.
It was reasonably priced. And for 5 days, it was like phenomenal, especially in the UK at the minute. People are trying to holiday only in the UK, and prices are ridiculous. So to find a place for the price that we got it for, to have full electrics in a treehouse.
You were in a treehouse?
Yeah, they built a treehouse around a tree.
Oh, wow. I'm just thinking of Owl from Winnie the Pooh.
No, not like that. But it had running water. It had a working flushing toilet. It had a shower, a wet room.
It's a life of luxury.
Yeah, and then you go down some steps, and you've got a wonderful barbecue, fire pit, everything you could possibly want on your week away in Devon, and it was great. We went to the donkey sanctuary.
I remember calling you. Sorry, mate, can't pick up at a donkey sanctuary.
Yeah, there were donkeys everywhere. We went to a really delicious restaurant called The Pig. Really, really good. Had some amazing food. It was
pork?
No, we had steak.
Welcome to Pig, where we don't serve pork.
We had dessert. They were called the Free Piggies, and there was 3 different desserts. It was great. And I did partake in having an after dinner cigar. I know, it sounds ridiculous.
What the hell are you playing? What are you playing at?
Well, darling, they had a cigar menu, and I was like,
cigar menu.
I did. I was allowed to have one, so I did.
I went to Cuba, and obviously Cuban cigars are renowned and famous. And I remember having some really delightful cigars in Cuba. But you smoking an after-dinner cigar on holiday is
on the lawn as well.
On the lawn after being to Wimbledon.
I know.
It's just rolling in money, folks.
Yep, I have nothing left.
What else has happened? Well, I did want to briefly just touch upon a couple of trailers that have dropped. Firstly, King Richard with Will Smith. For those of you that don't know what this film is about, it's about Serena and Venus Williams' dad, Richard Williams, and it's about him being their coach, and them, obviously, you know, tennis, Venus and Serena are, particularly Serena, you know, 2 of the greatest players of all time. I remember growing up watching them every year being in the final. And this is really an analysis of the father, his role in bringing them up. And the trailer's out now. Will Smith has a little bit of Oscar buzz. So obviously for Road to the Oscars, I'm keeping that in mind.
Any odds?
Yes, he's 10-1. What does that mean?
Yeah. Please, break that down for me with some analytics.
Well, it basically means
please.
if you put £1 on, you win 10, you get 11 back. I haven't got the rest of the odds in front of me, but he's about 5th favourite. The odds would suggest that Will Smith could get a nomination, and the nature of the film is a film where it could be very, very popular. It could, if he's campaigned right, and Will Smith's brilliant on the microphone and very good with the media, he's a lively outsider for the Oscars. Adam Driver is actually the favourite. I think we'll also touch on the House of Gucci trailer now, which dropped. Haven't got the cast in front of me, but you've got
let's start with Al Pacino, Jeremy Irons, Lady Gaga. You've also
Adam
got Adam Driver,
Jared Leto, who is unrecognisable.
Salma Hayek as well is in there. It's in a phenomenal cast. Ridley Scott is obviously in the director's seat for this, and I was slightly underwhelmed by the trailer, but I think that was a good thing because it didn't reveal too much. But I get the gist of what the story's trying to do. It's obviously Gucci's story, the House of Gucci, the family, the betrayals, and it's based on that true story. I got that message flashed in my face quite vigorously during the trailer. But you know, is it going to be Oscar buzz around this? Yes, definitely. I think because the cast is just so outstanding. I think Lady Gaga could get a nomination for this. It's the thoughts are there. Maybe Adam Driver, Leto could be somewhere in there.
Interesting shout.
I mean, I would say that just because of the way he looks, the transformation. It could be another. You know what I'm thinking, aren't you? You're about to say it.
Am I?
I think so.
I was going to say it's got a great chance in hair and makeup.
Yeah. Well,
are you thinking of what's his name in Vice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Batman.
I'm Batman. What's his name?
I want you to know it. Come on, David.
Oh, he's also in
Christian Bale,
Christian
David.
Bale,
Come
of course. I see what you're saying, yeah. Look, this is, I'm going on record, this is my early pick for Best Picture. There are odds, I have investigated it. I haven't as of yet had any money on it. I learnt from last year about not backing films based on a trailer.
Okay.
But there's a lot of excitement around this film. House of Gucci is my most anticipated film of the year. Comes out in November.
Okay, what I want you to do is not to bet on it, because if it fails at the Oscars, Lady Gaga is going to be a bad thing for you going forward. Any film she's in, you'll place a bet and you will lose.
Well, it reminds me of A Star Is Born. Lady Gaga is 14-1 to win Best Actress. The odds would suggest a nomination is likely, but on the edge. I think she'll win Best Actress.
Okay. I mean, save the rest of this talk for Road to the Oscars. I feel like there's an episode buzzing.
There is an episode in the works.
Is it early predictions?
It's early. It's not going to be on my first episode. I'm planning. It's not going to be predictions. I'm going to save that. I've got a guest lined up for predictions and early sort of Oscar buzz. It's going to be an Oscars. Road to the Oscars pit stop, where we just assess basically what's happening, what trailers are out, what the odds are saying, just talk about the buzz and make predictions a little bit further down the line because it's only July.
Can it be called Road to the Oscars at the service station?
If you want to. Other news, very, very quickly. The Green Knight has been, the prompt here says delayed in the UK. I think it's been cancelled, which is a great shame. Tremendous reviews coming in for Green Knight.
I'm just going to press the button that says turn the enthusiasm down.
No, tremendous reviews coming in for the Green Knight. Very, 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 very interested to see this A24 production. Apparently, if you know A24, Hereditary, Midsummer, apparently it's very A24. Mr. Dearest Crag, anything else you'd like to touch upon?
Well, yes. I mean, I was going to continue on with the Green Knight there. The reasons why it's been cancelled or delayed in the UK, I think, has there's a number of things impacting that. I think COVID is definitely one of them. I think with the Delta variant going around like the common cold at the minute, I think it's going to be cause for concern for cinema goers. And I think with films like Jungle Cruise, which is now out, and also
The Suicide Squad
also out, both to be reviewed on our next show. The Green Knight may suffer for being something that's a bit out there, so people may not go to see it. It is different. David Lowery is in the director's seat for this one, and it's going to be really interesting. When the trailer dropped ages and ages and ages ago, last year, at some point, it was supposed to be coming out. I was really intrigued by it, and I was really excited. Dev Patel in the lead role here, and there's a plethora of amazing fellow cast members in there. And I'm really excited for it. The visual nature of the trailer blew me away. And if the film is a continuation of that cinematography and that visual visual porn, I suppose it's going to be. It's just going to be. It's just a cinematographer's or an auteur's a dream, really, isn't it? To see something like that.
Someone from Awards Ace, forgive me, I can't remember their name, but Awards Ace said it was a cinephile's wet dream.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, this for cinema lovers. Apparently, it's just gorgeously shot. The score is good. The acting's good. There's lots of meat on the bone. Exciting times.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Very much so. And then there is something we're going to touch upon in our Black Widow review, but we'll touch slightly upon it right now, and that's Scarlett Johansson going up against the House of Mouse. So she is now suing Disney for releasing the film simultaneously on Disney+. So it's gone into cinemas and it went on to Disney+. Now, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I do believe they did stagger it in the UK. I thought it came out in the cinema and then it went on to Disney Plus almost 5 days later.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but I must admit I watched this on Disney Plus. And I will delve into my reasons why for that during the review. It's not a laughing matter. It's a serious matter.
You are right, Craig. Yes,
it is something that could be killing cinema, and I don't blame Scarlett Johansson for suing them, but I think the reason behind it may be slightly less than defending cinema's honour. It may be more financial reasons.
Well,
we will delve into that.
Breach your contract fundamentally. And contracts are there to be honoured, is my opinion. We'll talk about it more in the review. That was a long introduction, but it's been a long time. A bit rusty behind the mic, but pleased to be back with my dear friend Craig.
Yes. So we're going to crack on with our main show and enjoy the show, people. If you have any emails or anything that you would like to send in to us about the films that we've reviewed on today's show so we can read it out on week 60, you can email us at mymail.isitworthit@isitworthitpodcast.com. That's mymail.isitworthitpodcast.com. And alas, now the intro is over and the main show. Duff, begin.
Great job.
And in our first review, we're going to be looking at, in fact, Black Widow. In Marvel Studios' action-packed spy thriller, Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, confronts the darker parts of her ledger when a dangerous conspiracy with ties to her past arises. Pursued by a force that will stop at nothing to bring her down, Natasha must deal with her history as a spy and the broken relationships left in her wake long before she became an Avenger. We've got a clip. Let's take a listen.
It still fits.
Oh my god. I never watched it once. Come and drink.
Rise, you workers of salvation. Family. Back together again.
Seeing as our family construct was just a calculated ruse that only lasted 3 years, I don't think that we can use this term anymore, can we?
Agreed. So here's what's gonna happen.
Okay, reunion then, huh? And, I want to say something right off the bat. You haven't aged a day, huh? You're just as beautiful and as supple as the day they staged our marriage.
You got fat, but still good.
I like that clip.
Yeah, great clip, yeah.
It's a real family moment in there. And just to give you an overview as to who was in that scene, we have Scarlett Johansson playing Natasha Romanoff, aka Black Widow, Florence Pugh playing Yelena Belova, who is also aka Black Widow, David Harbour playing Alexei, and Rachel Wise as Melena. It's late here. I must add, it is nearly 10 o'clock here. It's been a long day.
We're on the first review.
I know. Oh, God. So they are quite a family unit in this film. There's a lot of hilarious rapport between these characters. But the film, where does it take place? Well, it takes place somewhere between Civil War and Infinity War. And it's fleshing out the character of Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson's, Natasha Romanoff, who has been... I mean, it's a long overdue character development and backstory. And we start the film with exactly that, Natasha Romanoff as a young child in this sleeper cell. And I was completely thrown off by the accents within this scene, because obviously you start off and they've got this very American accent, but you know that doesn't seem quite plausible or right. And you know that actually maybe there's something, going on here that might be slightly out of the ordinary. But they start speaking English American, and then at some point they flip to Russian accent speaking English. Why would they do that?
Well, it's because their parents are obviously Russian, so they're growing up with that American influence and then the Russian as well, I would think. To be honest, I didn't take too much notice of. I thought
it just seems a little bit silly to have. They should have just spoken Russian to each other, because they are Russians and I mean, why then just switch to a Russian accent to speak English? Why didn't they just continue in the American accent?
I suppose
it confused me, because I thought, hang on a second, are they actually American? And then are they a real family? And then I realised that actually they're not. Things do really kick off. And I must admit, the director here, Kate Shortland, she's really done a really super job with the action scenes in this film. It's action packed from the very start. However, you do get some great character interaction with that family unit, and that happens throughout the movie. And surprisingly, I thought this was worthy of that backstory.
Yes.
100%. You've got a lot of notes, I can see.
I've got some notes. The first note I've got, and I do try and, I don't know, if I can, I do try and make notes as soon as I've come out of the cinema just to remind me, prompt me. One of my notes just talks about this opening. I thought this opening was superb. Like, really, really good.
Yeah, okay.
Just the backstory it was given, I thought it was energetic, I thought it was fiery, I thought it was engaging. I would need to rewatch every single Marvel film, but from the ones that I've got in memory, this is one of my favourite openings of a Marvel movie. Really, really, really was. And I can run through a number of elements of this movie, piece by piece, if you wish. And we can have a little discussion. The first thing to say is about the performances. I thought that Scarlett Johansson was really good, beyond solid, I would say. We've seen her in a number of things. I'm not going to list them because I'll probably forget them, but she's a really good actress. But the person that really blew me away, I shouldn't say blew me away because she continually does this, she's now an Oscar nominee for her performance in Little Women, was Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
I thought her character was really likable, and really I felt hot and cold with her character in a good way. Like she really intrigued me.
Yeah, Florence Pugh is a really diverse actress, and she is able to bring this incredible different qualities of people and dimensions to every character that she portrays. You know, everything from Midsommar in the character there, who are unbelievable scenes in at the start of that film and all the way through it, but really like turning on this emotional just roller coaster she went on in that film. And in this one, she becomes an action star, and she really does. She becomes, what Scarlett Johansson has been honing for years as the Black Widow. And she's really, Scarlett Johansson has had this character for over 10 years now, if not more.
Yeah.
And she's gone on a real roller coaster of a ride in developing that character, from being someone who has probably been somewhat undermined as a woman within these films and sold as a sex symbol, without a shadow of a doubt, from, where she was introduced in one of the first Iron Man films. It's probably Iron Man 2, I believe she was introduced. To where she is now, and she's actually seen as somebody who is powerful and strong and independent, and whereas before she didn't quite have all of those things at the forefront, she sort of, was using this sexuality to get what she wanted almost in Iron Man 2. It felt wrong. And I think looking back on that, Scarlett Johansson knew that was wrong, and she now has allowed the character to evolve to where it should have been at the very start. It's been in the works for a long time, and it's needed to come. It needed to come a long time ago. I think now was a good time for it to come. Last year is when it should have come out.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good point to probably lead into the Disney Plus part, because
okay, fair enough. Yeah,
I think last year Disney Plus really wasn't much of anything. I say last year, maybe just at the beginning of the year, it hadn't really arrived, had it, Disney Plus? And to see Black Widow arrive on Disney Plus simultaneously as going into the cinema, I think middle of the year we would have been shocked by that if that had happened. Middle of the year last year, we would have been up in arms about that. However, I think people are aware that this is hitting the box office and are strongly arguing for the cinema to have its place reinstated and having that window to allow for the box office to grow and cinemas to flourish. But on the other hand, I think the cinemas need to perhaps evolve with the streaming services because of COVID. That people aren't as happy to go and sit in a cinema screen and engage with a movie surrounded by other people, no matter how much people love that interaction. And I am one of those people. people aren't comfortable anymore. Anxiety is high in the UK, and I'm sure across the rest of the world. And why can't those people have the same opportunity to watch the film? Now, obviously, the rightful place to watch this is 100% in a cinema. And however, one of my students that I go and see regularly, I wanted to take him to the cinema to go and see this film. However, he wasn't comfortable going into the cinema, and to have the ability to be able to pay £20 to watch this with him in a rather nice home setting, with a big screen and decent surround sound, actually, we were able to enjoy watching this movie together and not have the anxiety of sitting in a room with other people, feeling uncomfortable and not really maybe able to concentrate on watching that movie. And it is a shame, because I don't want the cinema to suffer. But on the other hand, on the flip side, I see its pros. I see why they've done this. They haven't. Okay, it's not their number one priority for sure. It's to help people with anxiety. No way. It's the profit. It's the profit.
Course, yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
However, I do feel they would have profited more from having that window and then releasing it on Disney Plus. And Scarlett Johansson has rightfully started a lawsuit against Disney for a breach of contract. Yeah. And they promised her. Now, it must have been in the contract. Was it a verbal promise? I don't know. It must have been in the contract that they were going to release this at
purely in cinemas.
Purely in cinemas to begin with an 8-week window minimum is what it should be, I believe. Now, what I don't understand is I haven't seen any press releases from cinema chains up against this either. Did Disney sort of go to the cinema chains and say, this is what we're doing, like it or lump it? And and the cinemas can't argue with Disney because they are the biggest studio in existence at the minute, I would say. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's really interesting what you say about what is the question I've got is, what is the future for cinema in general? Like, streaming services are changing the way that people watch films, and COVID has had a huge impact. Speaking to local cinema managers and others, people are not going back in great numbers. Like, there is still anxiety. What does this mean for the future of cinema? Are we going to see films released simultaneously? Who knows? All I do know is that fundamentally Scarlett Johansson had a contract that said that she would get a certain cut from the box office numbers.
Yeah, I was like, he's out of pocket 50 million.
But the thing is people have made these jokes online. Oh, because Disney came out and hit back and released how much she was paid for the film, which was 20 million. They said she's got her 20 million and she's actually going to profit more from this because she will get cuts from the sales online. But
she's not.
Yeah.
That's the point. The point was that actually the money that she received, that a percentage of it was coming from the box office only, not from online streams from Disney Plus, which is breach of contract because that's taken away from the sales of box office. And she was promised a proper release window in the cinema first. This is why I'm confused. Was it in a contract or was it just a promise that it was going to be, to save cinema, and now she's peed at them for not sticking to that promise? It's not the money, however, it's a good incentive. Do you know what I mean? But what? She works hard for that, and she does a lot of really good stuff in the world with the money that she earns. Yes. And why not? Why Disney do need to have a little bit of respect for the people that actually are bringing in the funds that line their pockets, and she's at the forefront of this movie and a lot of other movies. Why not hit back? And this was her last outing, so yeah.
I mean, it's opened a box of worms, and I believe today Emma Stone has also come out for Cruella and said that there's been some sort of breach in contract. I think what this is doing is cinema is in trouble, and we need to understand that, and we could make a whole podcast about that, I think.
Yeah, and this has taken away a little bit from the actual film in respect to what we thought. You've got a few more notes.
A plethora of notes.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I would say, going back to the review, is the humour in this film. There are some genuine, real laugh out loud moments, and I'm not just saying that. Like, I genuinely laughed out loud. The film is funny. The action is balanced with dialogue and really good set pieces, and also, Craig, the script is so well written. Like, when they do, what I like about this film is you have the action, and the action is good, and when they pull you back into dialogue, the script is dense and heavy, and there's lots in it. The plot, I love the plot. I think it's a great backstory. Great soundtrack on this film. But the thing that really struck me about this film, which I've got in my notes in bold capital letters, is just impeccable pace. I think the pacing of this film, I never felt bored. I was on the edge of my seat. Really, really impressed with this. Went into this, you know what I'm like. When we first started this podcast, how uninformed and uneducated I was about Marvel and DC. I've grown to love both of them. And
can I just quiz you very quickly?
Oh no, don't do that.
Okay, I'm going to give you some names of some superhero characters, and you know what I've got to say if it's Marvel or DC.
Okay,
Aquaman,
DC.
Iron Man,
Marvel.
Yep. Superman,
DC.
Yep. You ready?
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch.
DC.
Nope.
It was a wild pun. You shouldn't be quizzing me on my lack of knowledge. It makes me look terrible on the podcast. The point I'm trying to make is no. I said no a lot there. I will be very, very honest with you. And there's aggressive pointing in the studio.
Yeah. Yep.
I knew nothing about Marvel and DC before this podcast. 100% honest about that. Not my kind of movies. Got into them. I thought this was brilliant. The production design was great. The costumes was great. This is a really, really good film on every level. It's just good. It's just good. Give me more of this.
Well, if you want to go back and watch Captain America, The Winter Soldier, it has a very similar spy thriller-esque kind of film, and this one plays on that a little bit. That one was done by the Russo brothers, who went on to obviously direct Captain America Civil War, and then on to Infinity War, and then Endgame as well, and they took the reins there. And I think this is different, but it's similar in the sense that it is that spy thriller-esque. I think it might have done it slightly better, and I just thoroughly enjoyed watching this and everything play out, and finally get to see a bit more of that backstory that we've all been waiting for. Like, throughout the course of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, from day one, we've always wanted to know a bit more about Natasha Romanoff and how she became Black Widow, and there've been snippets of it woven in, and they've just let it grow and grow, and people have wanted it for so long, and it's finally here, and it is worthy of a watch, definitely. Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think I've gone through it. Just I think we should ask the questions.
Okay.
Oh, am I going first?
Yeah, why not?
Craig, Black Widow, is it worth it?
Yes, this is definitely worth a watch. It's definitely worth a watch in the cinema. It's action-packed, it's explosive, and the performances are big. David Harbour as Alexei.
He was great.
What was his character, like his superhero character's name again? I've forgotten.
Red Arrow.
No, it wasn't Red Arrow. Oh, God, that's so bad that we forgot that. But he was brilliant. He was funny. He was powerful. He was humorous. It was just, it was great. Rachel Weisz is just the perfect mother in this film, almost. And Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh make for a really great team up, and a really great watch on screen. What a family unit they are. Definitely go and check this out at your local cinema. If you're anxious, it is available on Disney+. David, sorry. Black Widow, is it worth it?
Yes, 100% worth it. I think I'm allowed to say this. I'll say it's my... No, I won't say that. It's very, very good. Brilliant brilliant acting, sublime pace, visually very nice. Costumes are great. The production design's good. The performances are good. Love the backstory. Love the opening. One of my favourite openings in a Marvel film. I need to learn more about Marvel and DC, but what I can tell you is Black Widow is 100% worth it. Give it a watch in the cinema. So it's now time for our second review, and we're looking at Fast and Furious 9. Vin Diesel's Dom Toretto is leading a quiet life off the grid with Letty and his son, little Brian, but they know that danger always lurks just over their peaceful horizon. This time, that threat will force Dom to confront the sins of his past if he's going to save those he loves most. His crew joins together to stop a world-shattering plot led by the most skilled assassin and high-performance driver they've ever encountered. A man who also happens to be Dom's forsaken brother, Jacob. Let's take a little listen to an action-packed clip.
Otto, sending you new pickup location.
Oh my good God.
Well, I think Craig has selected a clip that really shows what this movie's about. This is one of the maddest films I have ever seen. So very, very briefly, this is Fast and Furious 9. The first Fast and Furious film came out in 2001. So we're looking at a full 20 years. And what was fundamentally a film about cars has just developed into this whole cinematic universe that culminates in chaos, which we'll touch upon later, unless you want to go straight in. What I will say, if I'm allowed to say this, we did a Godzilla vs. Kong review that was a bit of a spoiler review. I think this is going to be a spoiler review. It sort of has to be. Would you agree?
Oh, I totally would agree with you. I just wanted to say that I have seen some of the Fast and Furious films, and I remember seeing the first Fast and Furious, and from what I recall from that, it was about the cars, it was about crime, and it was about a policeman infiltrating this crime unit. Now, from that to Fast 9, I can't remember how this change happened to gradually become what it has become today. And I remember watching Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, we reviewed that on the show.
We thought that was ludicrous, but entertaining ludicrous stuff. This is ludicrous, but was it entertaining? This is the question I think we're going to delve into on today's show for this review. And I believe that there's been some kind of misunderstanding in how some of these characters, their arcs have gone. Yeah. Somehow Vin Diesel has become, I don't know, a spy who is also able to, I don't know, punch through walls and pull ceilings down and take down 20 guys. It's ludicrous, isn't it? And Ludacris is in this film.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It is completely crazy, and I will get on to whether it's worth it and does it work. They do redeem themselves in this movie as well, because they actually make a joke. One of the characters says, you know, we should be dead by now. So they're laughing at the ludicrous nature of it.
Okay, because they do kind of take the mickey out of what they've become in that sense, and they are trying to poke fun at the fact that they've done that and they've gone down this road. But I think that's actually quite lazy writing. I think that's quite lazy completely. I think they know that they've gone off the rails a little bit here. I know that there was also a bit of a feud between Vin Diesel and The Rock and or Dwayne Johnson over in recent weeks. There was an interview with Vin Diesel about how he had to push so hard for Dwayne Johnson to get a good performance out of him, and in another interview, Dwayne Johnson just laughed at that and said, "Well, you know, that's ridiculous. We all know that that's just ridiculous coming from Vin Diesel."
Yeah,
but I just believe that this is just chaos. This is chaos walking. This is just it's just wrong in every way, shape and form. It's no longer about the vehicles. It's no longer about racing, and even the backstory in this film that we get just wasn't enough to save what this film was. The balance between the two. I would have loved to just seen the film on that backstory, and
it is an interesting backstory.
It is. But it showed us. Vin Diesel's character and John Cena's character, how they're brothers, where their feud began, and why they were feuding, and a whole host of other things happened in that backstory. And I feel like they could have actually spent a whole movie depicting that feud.
They probably will,
and that's you know what, they probably will, but. It was more grounded. It was more
the backstory
real.
was certainly felt better. It was much better than the way it was produced, and the overall sort of appeal of the backstory was better. It just seemed like a different film.
But I feel like they put that in there to try and ground the rest of the movie, and it didn't though, because everything was flying around, and quite literally cars were flying into the air. They have some kind of magnetic pulse. Magnet thing that throws cars all over the place. Somehow people didn't die when that happened.
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to touch upon. So there's a scene early in this film where they are fundamentally being chased and they are driving away in vehicles, and they come across a field full of landmines. And they do this quick calculation of how quick they have to go in order to basically detonate the mine, but be quick enough to get away from it. I have never seen so many explosions in one scene without anyone dying.
Yeah.
And then once they got through the landmines, they had people with rocket launchers. I put in my notes, because I was laughing in the cinema, I just put in my notes, who's firing these rockets? Like, who is actually firing these rockets? Because every one of them missed. We then had the most ludicrous...
Do you think they were trained?
I don't know.
They were like, oh, we're bad guys. Quick, pick up the rocket launcher.
I mean, I don't know what they would... I don't know, because...
And there was so many, like, automatic rifles being fired.
Yeah.
Not one hit them.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the point of that was.
And they did joke about that. But
they did, but why?
Well, you would say it was lazy writing, but they know it's got ludicrous. I mean, the most ludicrous part was where Vin Diesel's character drives a car across a cliff and he swings on a rope like a monkey, and his car attaches to the zip wire, and he flies across a massive.
You think that's the most ridiculous?
Well,
bit?
we'll get on to other ridiculous. That was crazy. That
was crazy. That was balmy. But then they went to space.
Well, I did want to touch upon that, and the funny thing is they went to space in a car wearing old scuba diving gear mended with duct tape. That is the level of this movie, and I actually thought of you in the cinema, Craig, because they said, I don't know if you remember this, the driver of the initial aircraft that took them to like 60,000 feet before they were dropped.
Yeah.
Said, don't worry, trust the maths and the physics. And I thought, how dare the Fast and Furious series talk about maths and physics
this
in
is
a film?
Not Interstellar.
When you have a film where people are going into space in a car wearing scuba diving gear. This is not maths. This is not physics. This is ludicrous. This is literally the most ungrounded film ever.
I know. I mean, how can they trust the maths and the physics? The maths and the physics don't add up, because not one bullet. The maths, the statistics would suggest that at least one of those bullets would pierce the body of one of those men and women that were taking part in this very movie. I mean, we should probably just work our way through the list of actors and actresses that are in this film who maybe gave a performance. Vin Diesel.
Well, this thing about Vin Diesel's voice is it's now getting so deep that it's almost becoming like volcanic, or earthquakery.
Yes,
like it's going to be caught on the, what's that? Is it the Richter scale? Where it's
an earthquake.
Yeah, like his voice is so deep. Like it's so,
that was good.
It's so deep you can barely hear it. Look, Vin Diesel is Vin Diesel. I actually thought John Cena's character was okay. Look, I don't. Charlize Theron. Sorry. She gives the best performance. She's this icy cold And actually, the lines she has is probably some of the best writing in the film.
Yeah, I mean, Sung Kang as well, actually. I thought he was brilliant. He returned as Han, and actually, I thought he gave a really solid performance as well. And a quite a unique backstory by bringing him back. And then Helen Mirren is also in this film as Queenie. I
mean, that was just madness.
Just madness. The whole film is just a joke, to be honest with you.
I mean, this is the thing I wanted to touch upon. So, I did make this in my notes, and it is a food analogy. So many plot holes in it. You know, some films have plot holes. It becomes like a piece of cheese with plot holes. This has so many plot holes that there is no cheese. It's just air. There's so many holes. There's no cheese. Yeah. And what do I think about this film? You asked earlier, does it work? This is ludicrous, mental carnage, uncontrollable chaos.
Yes.
I can't bear to say it's actually pretty good fun. If you take it on its merits, it's entertaining stuff. I mean, it is ludicrous. That moment, I've never been to Edinburgh. I don't know if you have.
I mean, that was the clip.
Yeah, but John Cena literally zip wires for like a minute and a half across the whole of Edinburgh. And I don't know how big Edinburgh is, but I imagine it's a sizable city.
It's quite lengthy, yes.
And it's just like, it's almost like a comedy. It's like, there's John Cena on a zip wire and a car's chasing him. There's John Cena on a zip wire and a car's chasing him. John Cena's still on the zip wire. A minute later, he gets off the zip wire, shoots another zip wire propelling thing, and he goes back on the zip wire. And he just zip wires. It's mad. Did I enjoy it? I bumped into someone before who said Fast 9. He said, you know, you as a podcaster, film critic, he said, just go in with a bucket of popcorn and have fun. And that's what I did.
I didn't. So I went in expecting Tosh and came out getting Tosh. And honestly, I went into to Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw thinking it was going to be Tosh and actually enjoying myself and was entertained. I was able to it enabled me to suspend my belief. The only part that didn't suspend my belief in that film was the robotic guy. Idris Elba, that's it. I mean, he was that sort of Brixton. He was a robot or some sort, or a cyborg or some sort. That kind of didn't suspend my belief, but it still had. It had everything that a fast film kind of wanted to be, but wasn't a fast film at the same time, and had a bit more action. I don't know. I just enjoyed that a lot more than I did this one.
Okay, I understand that.
This one, I don't know. I almost kind of don't like Vin Diesel. Like, I think I'm supposed to root for this guy, but I just don't like him. And because of that, I just don't like this movie. I actually really hated it. Really hated it.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised, I'll be honest, knowing you as a friend and knowing you as a film critic podcaster, I'm not surprised you hated this film. I'm not going to try and sort of swing you round. I just took what that person said. He said, just have fun, and that's what I had.
Yeah, I didn't. Okay. Anything else you'd like to add about this movie?
Yes, just a quick shout out to our friends over in the States, Mike, and Oscar. They actually did an amazing mini-series where they analysed all of the Fast and Furious films, culminating in a brilliant review of Fast 9, where they had a tremendous guest on. Big shout out to our buddies in the States. If you like the Fast and Furious series, give their podcast a listen. Other than that, I'm ready for the question.
Okay, David, F9. Fast and Furious 9. Is it worth it?
I'm going to say yes. And even if you haven't watched all of... Oh, no, I am. Craig is looking troubled. Even if you haven't seen any of the other Fast films, I would still give this a watch in the cinema. It's absolute insanity. Like, it's the most ungrounded film I've ever seen. The plot is ludicrous, full of holes. It's poorly written, but it's madness, and it's a journey, and I kind of liked it. And by the way, it's worth seeing in the cinema because of the nature of the special effects. For me, Fast 9, I'm going to say it's worth it. Craig, Fast 9 for you, is it worth it?
No, this is not worth seeing in the cinema. I just thought it had the worst premise of a film I've ever seen. It had the most ridiculous action sequences that just did not tie up with the story at all. And what was grounded before in a series that was about the cars and about this family. And
we had to mention family, didn't
yeah,
we?
well, we had to get it in there. It no longer represents that anymore. It just represents a lot of loud noises and explosions and things flying around on the screen without much thought or care put into what really makes a good and worthy story unfold on a cinema screen. And it's just out to profit, and I hate that. I really do, and I really don't think it's worth going to see in the cinema, because you're paying money just to line the pockets of already incredibly wealthy people who have been incredibly lazy at putting quite a poor representation of what is classed as an action film on the screen. Don't go and see it.
Wow.
And I feel very strongly about that.
Craig went hard on Fast 9. It's a vendetta. Fast 10 will just be you versus Vin Diesel.
You know what? I'd go 10 rounds of Vin Diesel any day.
10 rounds.
So our next film review is Space Jam: A New Legacy. Now, when LeBron James and his young son Dom are trapped in a digital space by a rogue AI, LeBron must get them home safe by leading Bugs, Lola Bunny, and the whole gang of notoriously undisciplined Looney Tunes to victory over the AI's digitized champions on the court. A powered-up roster of professional basketball stars as you've never seen them before. It's Tunes versus Goons in the highest stakes challenge of his life that will redefine LeBron's bond with his son and shine a light on the power of being yourself. I do, in fact, have a clip lined up. Take a listen. It might be a trailer clip. And enjoy, and we'll come back for our full review.
Welcome, King James.
I'm a cartoon? Ah! I'm shorter than Kevin Hart. No.
What's up, Doc?
Bugs, bring it here, man.
What brings you to Tonewall, Doc?
The computer dude kidnapped my son. No! What in the Matrix hell? Hey, what'd you do to my son?
The only way you're getting your son back is if you and I play a little basketball.
You want to play me in basketball? I need to assemble an elite team.
You need a dream team. I'll take it from here. Sam, shoot the ball. Let's try that again, shall we?
We'll get your son back. I promise.
What's happening?
I look expensive.
Introducing the Goon Squad!
What's
I got it.
Wow. So that was a trailer clip from Space Jam: A New Legacy. I think the first place to start with this film actually is with the original from 1996.
Yeah, good idea.
Starring Michael Jordan. I remember I would have been 5 at the time, so I remember watching this as about a 7 or 8 year old, and I thought it was incredible, like to see one of the world's biggest basketball stars interacting with cartoons on the screen. Craig would know more than me, but I think for the time it was produced, it was solid.
It was certainly produced.
The time it was made, you know, the special effects were good, and it was.
Yeah, I mean, there've been other films that have, in the past that have done this sort of thing by putting cartoons with live action. And this, Space Jam was, something that was quite different about that. You know, it was putting a non-actor in a film, playing himself. So it's grounded in that reality, and then it took you sideways, didn't it? Because he then got sucked into Looney Tune world and had to play a game of basketball to free himself. And it entwined his family. And you know what? As a kid growing up or watching that film, I must have been, 7 or 8 when I watched that film.
Yeah.
Probably 7. in primary school, all of our class loved that film.
Yeah.
And I remember, do you remember the game Duck, Duck, Goose?
I love a game of Duck, Duck, Goose.
Well, exactly this. Well, we changed that to space, jam. And then we'd have to chase each other around. And I have fond memories of doing that.
Yeah.
Because we all loved that film so much. And you know, I think back in those days, the Looney Tunes had a bit more pull as well. You know, the kids, lots of kids know who the Looney Tunes are. Now, is this film Warner Brothers' way of bringing the Looney Tunes back into the forefront of children's minds? I think it might be. I think they're trying to cash in here by raising that profile and giving, I don't know, airtime to the Looney Tunes, because I don't know, they're their oldest commodity, I suppose, and you know, they need to make some more money somehow. At the same time, they're then throwing out all of their back catalogue into this film. Now, while some of that's quite cool and quite meta, you know, Game of Thrones, Harry Potter, what else was there? Can you remember any more of them?
It was like one long
The Matrix,
Warner Brothers advert.
Yeah, and everything was in the server. Okay, so they're bringing it up to speed, this modern time. And I actually took from it something quite more sinister than that. And I did talk to you about this, didn't I?
And I must admit, I'm not sure I agree with this, but you can go ahead and...
Okay, let me build a better picture for you. In a world that we live in currently, our devices listen to us all the time. Now, I don't know if you've been on Instagram scrolling through and then you see an ad for something that you were recently talking about. That, you know, that's one way that our devices are listening to us and giving us targeted advertisement. This AI in this film is talking about being able to hear the things around it. This is simply a computer program. Don Cheadle is playing an AI, that's a computer algorithm that is capable of manipulating people in the real world, because it's listening to everything. It's able to hack into everybody's personal devices. Now, this sort of go in the news recently. There has been an Israeli military software engineering company that has developed a piece of software called Pegasus. Now, this software is able to be deployed by governments to monitor terrorist organizations and, simply terrorists on every level. They can monitor and hack people's devices without even they could basically send an email to your device and they've infiltrated your device. Previously, you had to, it's like a spam email and you open it and there's a link in there and you get, if you fall for it, your device has got spyware on the computer now and it's logging and seeing everything. It can activate your camera. Now, they don't even have to do that. They can deploy it and look at your device. And the bad thing about this is that governments are not actually using this for the purposes it was intended for. They are using it on activists' devices. They're using it to track journalists. They're doing this. It's a huge story out there at the minute. And this film kind of touches upon that in the sense that Warner Brothers, of all people, are infiltrating LeBron James here and manipulating him to make a profit. This looks very bad for Warner Brothers, that they're actually using that as a plot device. I've heeded that warning in reality in terms of listening to how, you know, companies are infiltrating us and governments and they're listening to us and our freedom of being able to have, you know, a space to be ours and not it's private. Do you know what I mean? You know, WhatsApp are advertising all over the place at the minute on podcasts that they've got end-to-end encryption and nobody can read your messages and all this sort of stuff. Well, actually, that's not true, because this piece of software can infiltrate your device. It can open up the app and look and see what is on that device and what are in those messages. Therefore, it is not completely encrypted, and it's scary to think that. And a film that's meant for children,
I was going to say, this is
modern twist on a film that I loved as a child, has actually scared the hell out of me. That Warner Brothers have got an AI server that is able to manipulate what's going on in the real world. Oh man, that was a poor plot device. It really was.
I mean, I'm terrified now. I'll be honest, I cannot comment on what you've just spoken about because I genuinely know nothing about it. I'm not going to lie. What I wanted to touch upon is I thought you hit the nail on the head when you said about Looney Tunes and how relevant it is. Like, in the 90s, the Looney Tunes were everywhere. It was relevant. It was in your face. It was on various cartoon channels. Now, not so much, I don't think. So I struggled with the relevance of this film. And for me, so this film was about basketball, and I broke the film down into 4 quarters. And I'll briefly say what I thought of each. The first was a slow start, didn't grip me, didn't engage me, but I thought the second quarter of this film, the second part of this film, was the worst part of the film. I thought it was really, really poor. It felt when LeBron James was sucked into this device and he had to assemble his team, that should have been done in like a 2 or 3 minute quick fire, one cut.
Yeah.
Here's Bugs Bunny, here's, I don't even know the name of the rest of them, here's that fat pig, here's that large bird, here's Coyote Roadrunner, here's the what's that devil called? You know, the Tasmanian devil. It should have Daffy Duck. You know, the lot of them. It should have been 2 or 3 minutes, but instead we get this prolonged journey where they fly around this server, and we see, like you said, things from Harry Potter and Game of Thrones, and it just felt like I was in a Warner Brothers Studios in Disney. Like, it just felt like a one big long advert. I thought the second half of this film was really, really poor, but the third part transformed my not overall opinion of the film, but I thought the third part was actually superb. When they got to the basketball game, it was exciting, entertaining, visually impressive, better character development, and better acting. And I did want to touch on LeBron James's acting. I don't know if this film was shot in chronological order, i.e. did they start at the beginning and shoot it chronologically, or did they, because sometimes films,
okay, they would never ever shoot a film in chronological order. I can't talk. They would never do that because it's just not possible to do that. And actually, that's just very silly to do a film like that. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that answers that question. But the reason I mentioned did they shoot it chronologically is because LeBron James's acting, I feel, gets better as the film goes on. I don't know why that is. Like, at the start, I think he's wooden. I think his characters are very cold, but by the end, I think his acting's actually improved. You know, so I don't know why.
I mean, they could have started with the real world scenes. So,
yeah, okay.
You know, location by location, the house, the studio, you know, all those parts, and film those in one go.
Yeah.
So it, you know, I mean, and then they could have filmed the CGI green screen basketball court scene, you know, at another stage in time that was maybe he's had more acting lessons. I don't know. The point is here that they've done it once with Michael Jordan. They've pulled a non-actor basketball player, and then they've done it again here with LeBron James. And I just don't feel like this film was needed at all. But
I totally agree.
I think Warner Brothers felt like they needed to raise the profile of all of their commodities, all of their the properties that they have under their belt, and just show just what a big player they are in the world at the minute in terms of studio. You know, like Disney have all of these things under their belt. This is their way of saying, well, look at us as well. Look at all of these great franchises that we've got. The Matrix, Harry Potter, all of this. And it was like an advert, like you say. Like, it just was like a really long Coca-Cola advert where it just kept being like, here we are, Warner Brothers, here we are, Warner Brothers, here we are, Warner Brothers. Look at us, look at us, look at us. It's great. And I wanted to like it because I wanted the 90s nostalgia. I wanted to have that feeling of being excited and seeing Michael Jordan and basketball, you know, a game that I never really saw before when I was 7 years old. Being, you know, excited with the Looney Tunes on that court as well. And they just ruined it because, I mean, they digitized the Looney Tunes, and I mean, they make, you know, light of that situation.
Yeah, they do. I was about to say that.
And stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I really don't know, David.
Yeah. Well, for me, like I said, the The start didn't grip me. The second quarter was terrible. The third quarter I really liked. The fourth quarter was very average. If it wasn't for that basketball game in the middle, where there is a sense of competition, there's a sense of actual something on the line. We get LeBron and his son have that scene where they engage together, and it's like that father-son moment. If it wasn't for that third quarter, this would be a terrible film. I truly believe that. That third quarter, that basketball scene, visually very, very impressive, saves the movie. Because overall, I think it's the wrong time. I think the film's almost 10 years too late, and it feels like a long advert for Warner Brothers. It's saved by that third quarter, but overall, I wasn't a fan.
Yeah, I think we're good for questions now. Do you think so?
Yeah.
Go on then, you ask me first.
Space Jam, a new legacy. Is it worth it?
I'm going to say no. I don't think this is worth watching on the big screen. Although the action is quite fun and the cartoons look, really nice and crisp on the big screen, it's just outdated already. Like, we don't need to see Warner Brothers show off just how many franchises they have under their belt. We know how many they've got with HBO Max and all of the other impressive DC universe, Harry Potter, all that sort of stuff. Let them shine on their own. You don't need to remind us just how amazing some of the films they have under their studio. And I think they've actually ruined, in some ways, the Space Jam franchise in a way, because it wasn't a franchise. It was a brilliant standalone film that I would go back to time and time again. And I did recently go back to it, and I did really enjoy the first one. And this is just not building upon that. It's not improving upon that. It's not really doing anything for Space Jam. It's just trying to bring it up to date in the most ridiculous way possible for an audience that maybe don't know the Looney Tunes so that they can make money. And that is as simple as it is, I think. David, Space Jam: A New Legacy, is it worth it?
Wow, you've gone hard today. I'm liking this. I would say it's only worth it maybe if you've got kids who have seen the original, which you've shown them, and they want to see the new one. Just because I remember coming out of this and there were some young children that were really excited. But overall, no, I don't like this film. It feels like a long advert for Warner Brothers. It feels like they're trying to force LeBron into an acting career when he can't really act. It's a bit of a mess. Saved by that third quarter, but no, for me, Space Jam: A New Legacy isn't worth a cinema admission ticket. So it's now time for our next review, and we will be looking at In the Heights. Do you like my singing there?
I loved it.
A film version of the Broadway musical in which Yusnavi, a sympathetic New York bodega owner, saves every penny, what was that?
Sorry, I pressed the wrong button.
I'll keep going. Who saves? I did not. Craig, right. We'll keep this in. We will keep this in. Stop around with the absolute shamble bar. Craig's got a new beeper, so if you can just beat me out. Right. Let me tell you what this is about. He saves every penny every day as he imagines and sings about a better life. Let's take a little listen to a clip.
Maybe you're right, Sonny. Calling the coroners. Maybe we're powerless, a corner full of foreigners. Maybe this neighborhood's changing forever. Maybe tonight is our last night together. However, how do you want to face it? Do you want to waste it when the end is so close you can taste it? Y'all could cry with your head in the sand. I'ma fly this flag that I got in my hand. Can we raise our voice tonight? Can we make a little noise tonight? Can we sing so loud and raucous they can hear us across the bridge and needs to caucus? From Puerto Rico to Santo Domingo, wherever we go, we rap our people and the beat go. Vanessa, forget about what could have been. Dance for me one last night in the hood again.
Wow, what a clip. That really does show just how vibrant this film really is. And I went into this film not really understanding or knowing what I was walking into. I never watched the Broadway show. I had no idea. And I had watched a little bit of the trailer and I just still wasn't quite sure. But what this film represents is a minority of people living in Washington Heights in New York City. Is New York City?
Of course it is.
New York City. Oh goodness me!
Get your beeper back. New City.
There we go. We've gone mad.
This is a terrible review. Let's give them the review they want to hear.
Let's give this the review that it actually deserves because it's a gorgeous film.
Oh dear.
What do you mean? Oh dear.
We're gonna disagree.
Oh.
We don't know we don't know each other's thoughts. We keep them secrets. I couldn't disagree more about that. I think
what?
I'm not. Well, I'll go straight on the bat and say I was not a fan of this film at all.
Oh my goodness me. Okay, so I'm going to say the cinematography in this film was absolutely brilliant. The colourful, vibrant nature of the film reflected in the musical numbers that are also in this film. Now, it's not. I can say this for certain that the musicality of this film is not for everybody. Now, if you liked Hamilton, you will enjoy the cadence of the way that they're speaking and singing in the film and how the story unfolds and the way that people are just enriched by the music and the creativeness of just where they are. I like the way that transcends their dreams and allows them to dream a little more and they're singing about that. And I just feel like it's an incredibly uplifting story, a romantic story. It's one about, dreaming small and allowing those dreams to run away with you, but realizing actually that your dreams are actually right in front of you and you can make them come true. And I really thought it was the kind of film that we needed right now, because after everything that's going on, it's so uplifting. It's so beautiful in that nature, and it's so right to culturally show these faces and these talents on screen as they should be. And whatever you're going to say, I am going to disagree with you, I am sure. Let's hear what you've got to say then.
I just struggled with this movie, so I don't know whether I was in a bad place mentally, but
how did this not bring your mental mood up?
Everyone was so annoyingly happy.
I don't think that's true.
They were. Everyone was just so annoyingly happy. And I'll tell you what my problem with this film was that I think the sentiment behind it is brilliant. Like you said, this hard-working man, Navy. I love his backstory about how his father came in on a ship and saw a US Navy ship and thought, I'm going to name my son after that boat. That made me laugh. And then I realised that was the first time I'd laughed in the movie. The movie is incredibly unfunny.
Oh, I don't think that's true.
I didn't laugh. And the problem I had with this film was actually when they started to develop the characters and they had some heavier, more serious moments, I thought they were well acted. I thought the cinematography, like you said, was very, very nice. But then this story that I wanted to progress just got interrupted by, in my opinion, very unmemorable music, and quite annoying set pieces of very over-the-top dancing, and I just didn't enjoy this. I just didn't, for example, think I didn't like it like I liked, say, A Star Is Born.
Okay, that's not really a musical, though. Yes,
no.
It has musicality to it, and it has songs woven into the story. This is taken a Broadway play that is, the whole thing is woven and spoken in music and song and in rap and in R&B kind of way, and I think you've got to respect that type of film and listen to it and try and get what it is that the creators are trying to say and do with this kind of film. And music and the beat and good melodies, they uplift you because they're melodic in nature, and it's like going back to school when we learnt about major and minor. Like if this film was all in a minor key, this would be an awful film, because that minor key is like playing it down and sad and lamentful, and major keys are very uplifting and engaging and happy. And
I've just said everyone was too happy.
but
annoyingly so,
but not all the time. Like, there's some fantastic scenes. There's a great visual representation of a character passing over to the other side, and I thought that was really, really well done.
That was well done.
And
that was well done.
And I just love the community spirit of people coming together to help each other out, and you know, not everyone has tons of cash, and the poverty that there is in this place, you know, it's bad, and there's people there who are undocumented and are unable to, you know, simply get a driving license to and get an education at the same time. And it's about improving that and raising awareness to that, and doing it in a way that actually people will want to see it and understand and take from it what they're trying to say. And I don't know, David, I do feel like maybe you were having a bad day and you need to watch it again then, because I don't know, I don't understand how you can dislike it.
So what I'm saying is, I'm not disagreeing with some of the things you've just said there. I did make a couple of notes during the film, and one of the notes that I made, just looking now, says it's really going somewhere, and then it just stopped again. Like, the plot picked up, the fantastic meat on the bone, and there is some meat on the bone, like you said, this incredible story, and it is an incredible story, starts to go somewhere, and I'm thinking, yes, I'm getting engaged with it, and then we have another damn song that's not very good. Like, the music, I didn't enjoy the music. I mean, could you name, 96,000, that was a good song, I put that in my notes, but other than that, have you downloaded this soundtrack and listened to it again? Is this soundtrack the sort of thing that you would listen to? Craig's nodding his head. I just didn't like the music. Everything in between the music, the acting, the story, the sentiment, the way it was shot was all very good. Didn't like the music. Maybe it's the style of music. Maybe I was having a bad day. I just felt like the music interrupted the story, whereas actually the music should be part of a story. That's just my opinion. Maybe it was a bad day. What I will say, I haven't got them in front of me, but I did look them up. The Rotten Tomatoes scores are high. This has been very critically well received. And I did want to mention the Oscars. Have a guess where this is in the betting to win Best Picture.
Where?
Second.
No.
What does that mean? That means, Craig is probably, I didn't tell Craig this, that means the bookmakers are saying this is the second most likely film to win Best Picture, which normally when the bookmakers say that means this is going to get a Best Picture nomination.
I don't think it will.
I'm glad you said that, because neither do I. I think it's a ludicrous price, and I think you'd be insane to bet on it.
Yeah. We have received an email from Lawline. We're not going to read it all out. David's going to pick out a few points from within the email, but we do appreciate the email. And if you want to email in, you can send us an email to mymail@isitworthitpodcast.com. mymail@isitworthitpodcast.com. David, you wanted to pick out a few points.
Yeah, Laureline just mentions about the transfer from stage to screen. Does it work? I would say no. She comments on the beautiful cinematography. She says, I'm sure the cinematography will be winning awards because the film looks fantastic. Gorgeous sunsets over New Jersey, you know, and talks about the Hudson River there. And what I liked about this email was just the quite a passionate email actually about the film. But I think Laureline hits the nail on the head actually at the end when she says, however, though it was a good movie, I don't think it was a great movie, and I didn't leave the film loving it and wanting to tell my friends to go and see it immediately. And I think that's the point about this film. I can't recommend it. I am utterly baffled that this is in the Best Picture betting. I'm mesmerised that people are talking about it for Best Picture. I may be proven to be a total buffoon. Knowing me, it will probably win and make me look an absolute fool. Thank you, Laureline, for your email. But me and Craig disagree greatly about this film. I was more than disappointed.
Yeah, okay. I you know what? I understand that this isn't going to be everybody's film now. I really enjoyed Hamilton when I watched that on Disney Plus. It wasn't a film, as such. It wasn't an adaptation. It was the stage play, and I enjoyed the way that the musicality came across. Now, did that transfer well to this film? I think it did, and I think it was highly enjoyable. I would love to hear from other people to see what they thought about this film. I think we're in quite a unique position here to get that, and I think there'll be a lot of people out there who do really enjoy it.
Well, I will say it has been well received. It has got good critical reviews. A number of people who I follow on Twitter have gone to see it several times. I am in the minority, but as a critic, I will say when I think something's not good, and for me, this was not a good film.
Yeah,
didn't transfer from the stage to the screen.
And same as a critic, I'm putting the critic hat on. Then, you know, I will definitely say when a film's not worth it and a film is not enjoyable or really poor. And I've done that today. I've really gone at it at Fast and Furious, and I thought that was terrible.
Yeah.
I've really thought that, you know, Space Jam was terrible, and I really did criticize it, and that's what we're here to do, is to criticize and look at the films in their nature and say whether or not they were good or bad, and where they may have been great and where they may have been bad. And I think there's not much you can pick out here that was bad about it. You know, the performances are great, the acting is great, the singing is great, the dancing is great, the choreography, the cinematography, the vibrant nature, the story, everything about it is great. It's not going to be everybody, because not everybody loves a good musical. Not everybody can sit there and take it. It's a long film as well. It's like 2 hours and 40 minutes long, I think. It's long, and you know, to sit in your chair to watch that, 2 hours and 23 minutes, you know,
it did feel long.
It does feel long, but I enjoyed that, the length that it was on screen for, and I'm going to see it again. I want to
really. I will hold you to
that.
Go
and see it.
I will hold you to that. I will force you to watch this again.
I'm going to go and see it again. We're going to look and see if we can go and see it in an independent cinema in our local St Albans.
That'd be nice.
The Odyssey, and see if that's going on there, and we'll go and watch it. But yeah, I'll let you know how I fare on the second viewing, and see maybe if Charis wants to email in. Who knows? But yeah, so I'm going to ask you the question now. Okay. Is that okay?
Yes, please do.
Okay, David, In the Heights, is it worth it?
I hate to say it, but for me, it's just not worth it. It doesn't. I haven't seen the stage production, but it just feels like it doesn't transfer onto the big screen. I like the plot, I like the story, but I feel like it's just interrupted by what I would describe as annoyingly happy musical pieces. In terms of its Oscars chances, production design, it's got a great chance of a nomination. Hair and makeup, great chance. Cinematography, great chance. Throw an editing nom in there, and yes, it could get a Best Picture nom. So for me, I'm going to go and say that a potential Best Picture nominee is not worth it. Wasn't a fan.
You know, do you think that the bookies are just throwing this as a curveball to make some money?
Well, yes. There is, because what happens, Craig, is there's a lot. This was supposed to be the year of the musical, and there's been a lot of hype about In the Heights. And yes, it's a potential curveball. For example, last year, the Western with Tom Hanks was the bookmakers' favourite, and that absolutely flopped. So they may be throwing a curveball. But for me, put it this way, I like betting a lot. A lot.
Yeah, I know you do.
I would not bet on this film.
Okay.
Not worth it. Craig, In the Heights, is it worth it?
I think this is worth it. I do genuinely think this is worth it. If you are somebody who likes a musical, Moulin Rouge, for instance, you know, I love that film. I do like a good musical. I like the way Hamilton worked. I like the way that the music was kind of rapped and spoken in a way, and yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I like the story. I loved the romance behind it, the vibrancy behind it, and it was uplifting, and I can't see how you can't like this film in some ways. I don't think it's a Best Picture winner. I really don't.
Okay. I think you're right.
But I would, you know, I think it's too early to say, you know, what comes out that could better that at the minute. There's going to be a few things. Definitely House of Gucci looks like it's going to be huge, but you know, there's going to be a lot of other stuff, and I'd love to hear a Road to the Oscars that's going to like just chat about what's coming out that could be
coming
Oscars
very, very soon.
And I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, I do think it's worth going to see. I do think it's worth it in the cinema, definitely. Yeah, so that's our review of In the Heights.
And now we argue off air. We will. You know we will.
So we're coming to the end of the show. I'm going to be now talking about two films that I saw at the cinema. It was a while ago now, but two films that I wanted to talk about because I thought they should be seeked out by our listeners. Now, two of these films, they are Rare Beasts and Supernova. I'll talk about Rare Beasts first, and then I'll casually move into Supernova, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Okay.
I just want to I haven't seen either of these. I don't know what Craig's going to say, so fire away.
Okay, so Rare Beasts is Billie Piper's directorial debut. So if you're unfamiliar with Billie Piper, she was a pop star during the 90s, and she had hits such as Because We Want To and Honey to the Bee. And then sometime in the year 2000, she was cast as Rose Tyler in Doctor Who. Did you ever watch Doctor Who?
A little bit, yeah. I'm not a huge fan.
Okay, well, obviously, because science fiction does not suspend your beliefs.
You know this.
Eggman and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, moving forward to 2021, and she is now writing, directing, and starring in a film of her own devices. And what a film it is. Billie plays Mandy, a single mum working for a production company as a writer. She's a bit of a nihilist. Do you know what that means?
Don't.
Okay, so it's a person who thinks life is meaningless and basically rejects all religious and moral principles in life. So we can see where this is going. It's kind of sold as a romantic comedy, okay? But it's 100% a satire, and we're delving into a world of a romantic comedy almost, and it gives us this twisted alternate. The man she goes on a date with at the beginning of the movie, she ends up becoming very entwined with throughout the whole movie. But this isn't a person that we'd want to get entwined with. This is the person that is very religious. Not right for Mandy, obviously, for various reasons. And is somebody who's quite self-righteous about this. And also is somebody who has a habit of telling Mandy that telling her what she and other women want and need in life. So obviously we're off to quite a bad start here.
Toxic trait, though.
Quite toxic, yeah. But he's the kind of guy that you see at the start of a rom-com in a montage scene where this woman maybe goes on a series of dates and says no, 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 and then she finds the love of her life, and it all ends happily ever after. But no, we're actually entwined with Pete, who is played by Leo Bill throughout the entire course of the movie. And it's this version of a film that we see that just unfolds that we haven't really seen before. Piper has really set herself up as a very intelligent filmmaker. She has a lot to say, and she says it with a lot of confidence. It can be a tough watch, but it can keep... But if you can keep up with the very energetic and fast-paced dialogue that you see and you hear, you're in for a very good ride if you can keep up with that. But if you go in expecting a romantic comedy with a happy ending, you really aren't going to find this here. It challenges the norm, and it paves the way for a very, very exciting filmmaker. And I really, really enjoyed this film. I went and saw this at the Odyssey with Charis. It had a cinematic release, but a very small one at, independent cinemas and stuff. And if it is still playing at your local independents, or you want to try and seek it out, I really encourage you to go and see it, because I think for a directorial debut, it's intelligent, it's funny, it's grounded, it's everything that a satire almost it is a satire can be. It's brilliant. It really is great. But I will want to just throw out there a quick note to the listeners as well. If you're going to go into a film, and I'm there, please do not talk to your mate about your life troubles during the course of a film, because I will get up and tell you to shut up, because that is not the time or place to go and do that. This happened in this film. Two women sitting at a table, yabbering on about whatever they were chatting about. really quite loudly and obnoxiously, and I couldn't take it because it was ruining the film for me. So I got up and I said, "Excuse me, do you mind shutting up, please?
Did
We're
you
trying
actually
to
say
watch
that?
a film." I did.
Wow. You're on fire tonight.
I did.
This is a new Craig. He's saying what he thinks and he's not holding back.
No, it happened in Fast 9 actually as well. A group of youths. There was basically 4 of us, and then these youths turned up. It was quite an empty screening, I'll be honest. There may have been 6 or 7 of them at the back of the screen, and they started off okay, and then they decided to get quite loud and obnoxious and throwing popcorn around and throwing popcorn at me. So I stood up and I said, "You do that again and I'll have you ejected from this screen." I've turned into my dad. I have turned into my dad.
One thing to note on that, friend of the show, Amy Smith, who came on Road to the Oscars, actually she does a lot of stuff on Twitter and lots of great stuff. Give her a follow. She was talking about cinema etiquette on a tweet earlier today, and she said for the first time she stood up and told someone to shut up. Like, don't ruin it for other people. I don't want to go on a rant and a tirade. Craig has done that for me. No, cinema etiquette is important, and particularly in a heavy film and a film that needs a lot of focus, which is, I think, what the next film is.
So
I'm
Supernova.
really excited to hear about this. This was a film that I'm so sorry, dear listener, I couldn't catch it for various reasons. I really was looking forward to it, but I'm looking forward to hearing Craig's analysis and review.
Okay, so this stars Colin Firth and Stanley Tucci, of course, 2 very amazing actors, and they play Sam and Tusker. They are on the road together in what can only be described as a bittersweet melodrama. Tusker, played by Tucci, is losing his mental facilities as he was diagnosed with dementia 2 years previous, and this time together on this road trip has never been more important because of this dementia that's happened. I do have a clip actually, and I would love to play it for all of you. Here's a clip from Supernova.
Can I ask you, did you want one? An autograph from him? Because I saw you looking at it, I wasn't sure if you wanted one.
Tusker?
No, it's all right. He's very shy. You normally, do you have a pen on you? All right, but if you want one, he'll sign one for you. He's shy, but he will. Either on a napkin, or if you have one of his piano albums, he'll...
Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you. It's very nice of you. Thank you.
How did you come to be this person?
I don't know. I don't even know why I do it, because it really isn't even satisfying anymore half the time, anyway.
So why do you do it?
Because of the other half.
So that was a clip from Supernova. I will start off this kind of chat about Supernova with just saying that this movie fell very short or very short. It fell very much so under the radar, which is strange because The Father, which has very similar themes, made quite the impression. I think the reason behind that is because of the way that the film had such a way of showing the dementia in terms of the cinematography and the way the story unfolds. And then Anthony Hopkins gave a fantastic performance, and it wasn't that understated performance. It was genuinely a very, very good performance, and as we saw, Oscar worthy and Oscar. And as he did, he won an Oscar for it. This raised the profile, I think, of The Father. And then this comes out, and I think this one sort of goes very much so under the radar. The performances are very understated in this film, but it surely should have been recognised for more. It does move very slowly, but I think it does so with purpose. And like I say, the performances and character development feel really real, and I think that's why they're very understated, is because they do feel like, Sam and Tusker are this couple that have been together for so many years, and it's not Colin Firth and Stanley Tucci, it's Sam and Tusker, and you really grow to love these two people, and you love what they're about, and you love their love, and you want to see this not going the road that it goes down. And it's the love between the pair is just so strong, and you can see it very clearly. And that letting go in this film can be very hard, and I was crying so hard during this movie. Genuinely. It can be very dark at times. But it's just so realistic in nature. What plays out in this film is just heart-wrenching, and I genuinely defy anyone who to not shed a tear during this film or while watching this movie. Like I said, it did have a cinematic release. However, you may struggle to find it now. So look for your independent, as they may still be showing it. And it's the same for for Rare Beast as well. They may still be showing these films, but I really think these are two films that are really worthy of seeking out. They are kind of that under the radar, independent kind of British film that really is worth seeing, and I just feel like it's a real shame that they have gone under the radar, and I wish we brought the reviews sooner, so that they weren't out of the cinema so quickly, and people could have gone to see it if based on our reviews, if that was something that people go and do. But you know,
well, we hope so.
I hope so.
We hope
based
so.
on what our show is all about. But yeah, two films definitely worth going to see if you can. If not, try and hit them up on streaming services. But those are my reviews there. Well, what did you think of those?
I really, really enjoyed that. Just very quickly, under the radar, all I would say is I had Stanley Tucci and Colin Firth on my Oscars list. They were number 6 and 7. I thought both of them had potential to be nominated. The film went under the radar, which is really, really sad. Looking forward to seeing this film on the back, Craig, of 2 stupendous reviews.
And that does in fact bring us to the end of the show. So thank you for listening to week 59 of Is It Worth It? The Film Review Podcast. This episode was brought to you by 3 cups of the dark roast and at least 1 energy drink.
Yeah, that is so true. It's nearly midnight here, and it was also supported by you, the dear listener.
Yes, it was. Thank you for being patient and waiting for us to bring you new content. The new website is very nearly ready to be launched, and we really can't wait to share it with you. There's going to be some really cool stuff on there.
And if you'd like to get in touch and tell us about the films you've watched either at home or at the cinema, then you can email the show at mymail.isworthit@isitworthitpodcast.com. That email address again is mymail.isworthit@isitworthitpodcast.com, or you can follow us on the various social media pages: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You know, we're active on all 3 and excited to be so.
So our next episode is week 60, and it will feature reviews of The Suicide Squad, Jungle Cruise, Old, and Stillwater. Really looking forward to bringing you those reviews.
There's going to be some fun reviews there. Craig, it's great to be behind the mic with you again. Thank you, dear listener. And we need to find a catchphrase to end the show with. I'll have a think about that.
Tutty bye?
Well, no, we need something. But for now, we will say thank you.
Goodbye.
And goodbye.
See you later.
I think we should cut now.
Goodbye.
It's too much dark roast. Good Lord, it's late.